Welcome back to another live and amplified indie fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Jessey Adams. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. It's I just got off the road, so it took me a little bit longer to get everything set up because everything
Yeah,
was like in Pelican cases and all this stuff. And it's
I
like,
know that feeling.
it's like I can't find the chords I need. Oh,
Yeah,
they're buried
yeah,
way at the bottom of the case. So, you know. You know how that goes. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
how's everything going by you? How's everything up in Michigan?
Oh, it's been amazing. I've had so much going on lately. I just competed at the Michigan State Fair. Run this Superstars competition.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a much smaller scale version of The Voice. There's multiple rounds, and I did that last weekend, and I ended up winning. So that was exciting. Yeah.
Nice. That's really cool. Is that something that's just open to people that are in Michigan, or do you people come from all over?
I think it's just Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. How did you, or well, before we kind of jump into that a little bit more, where does music kind of come starting, or where does music kind of come into play for you? Was it something that your parents introduced you to? Was it something that was kind of always there? Where does music kind of come into play?
So my mom plays guitar and sings too. So growing up, we'd always go camping every year and she'd sit around the fire playing music, and I remember just joining in with her and playing all the time. And I actually ended up teaching myself guitar. I found that a little bit easier than trying to get lessons from somebody. And then I think I was around 12 when I really got serious with it. I started writing some music and just playing around with it, and I fell in love with it.
Nice. Now, what was this like on YouTube that you started teaching yourself, or were you just straight up experimenting and
I would look up chords and just figure them out with my fingers and go switch between the basic ones just over and over again until I could do harder things, and
mm,
eventually started playing music with it, singing
nice.
along.
Nice. And you said this was right around 12, right?
Yeah, I think I was about 12.
Nice, nice, nice. And is that kind of the moment that it hit you that music was like your thing, or did it take a little bit more than that?
Um, I don't think it was till I was about 16. I played at this open mic. It was the first time I had played like my original music for a crowd, and it was in this little barn, in this little town in Michigan. And I fell in love. Like I knew there was no turning back at that point. Like this is what I wanted to do. I loved it so much.
Nice, nice. So it was just from that point forward, you started,
Yeah.
were you kind of writing your own music at that point, or were you kind of like doing covers and whatnot?
I was writing my own music, not as much as I do now,
Hmm.
but it was more or less just playing around in my room with it, singing to the walls and coming up with stuff.
Nice, nice. Um, and so from there, just like what kind of or what year was this? Just kind of timeline references. Was this right around the pandemic or?
Um, yeah, it would have been I'm 19 now.
Mhm.
So right when it was ending. So I
Mhm.
think during the pandemic is really when I started sitting down and writing some music. And then I performed it for the first time once everything had opened back up.
Nice. And I mean, I feel like that's a lot of the times, or how a lot of musicians kind of started really getting into their music, especially younger musicians that were maybe 14, 15, 16.
Yeah,
They're all home with nothing. I don't want to say nothing to do, but a lot less to do. So,
right, right.
you know, um, so this was all like, it's one of those things where it's like it's hard to say good things came out of the pandemic, but in this case, I would say it really
Yeah,
did.
yeah. That's
Um,
something.
yeah. When you were kind of going through this process of learning, obviously learning how to play the guitar came a little bit earlier than this,
Yeah.
but when you were kind of made that transition into, okay, I'm going to be a musician. This is what I'm meant to do. Who are you listening to kind of develop your sound, or are you still trying to figure out what kind of musician you want to be?
Um, I mean, I grew up on like pre-2000s country,
Mm,
so a lot of 90s and a lot of like Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, John Denver was a really big one in my house. So that's still like primarily what I listen to. I've been loving like the newer red dirt country artists, a lot of the newer outlaw stuff like
mm,
Sturgill Simpson and Coulter Wall. Um, but yeah, it definitely comes from all that the country that I was raised on.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've been saying this a lot recently because I've noticed a lot of so I'm based out of Texas. I've been down in Texas here for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And all these musicians that were like really coming up in 2019, 2020, right around when the pandemic hit, like they were starting to make some noise around the Texas red dirt scene for the most
Yeah.
part. Now
Yep.
they're all names that are like headline doing national headlining
Right.
tours, and
Right.
it's like I'm glad to see they're getting
Yeah, for sure.
shine out us outside of Texas. So because like it's one of those deals where a lot of Texas artists they kind of get comfortable touring around Texas because
Right.
Texas is a big state.
Yeah.
You could easily
Oh
do it,
yeah.
but so how did you kind of stumble across that? Was that those artists? Was it just thanks to Spotify, or were you like actively pursuing like new music?
Um, it was probably a combination of like streaming services when they suggest music and then just social media as
Hmm,
well.
gotcha, gotcha. So, kind of transitioning into the you said it was the Michigan State Fair. It was it a songwriting competition or was it just strictly a singing competition?
It was it was more a singing
Mm,
competition. There was some like bonus points and stuff for original music.
mm,
But yeah, it was like 4 or 5 rounds total, against some really amazing musicians.
nice,
So I made some new friends through it, which was really cool.
nice.
But yeah, I ended up winning, which was great.
That's really cool. And as the winner, do you get to play like the state fair next year, or like what kind of happens?
Yeah, so I think how it works is I'm kind of the face of the competition for the next year. So I
Nice.
know I have a few different news interviews to do for it and a few different performances, and I'll be at there's a workshop for this competition for the top 10 people in it.
Mhm.
So I'll be there next year talking to people in those top 10 places, and then I'll have a performance at the fair next year as well.
Nice. That's really cool. So it's really setting you up instead of just giving like a straight cash prize, which has its own benefits, but they're really trying to set you up to,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
incredible. They've got me set up with a mentor, and they're helping me out with a 3 song EP as well.
Oh, wow.
Which is,
That's really
yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
It, and how's that whole process kind of been? Like, obviously, you said it's only been like a week, so you're probably not too deep
Yeah.
into it
Yeah, they're
yet, but
still getting into it, so I'm not quite sure yet.
gotcha. Fair enough. So speaking of like recording and whatnot, you do have a new single dropping
Yeah,
here in just or a little less than a month, October 4th.
October 4th.
What can you tell us about the single? What's the name of it?
It's called Dead or Alive. It's definitely leaning into that outlaw side of country.
Nice.
Kind of brings in that feel of like 2000s Miranda Lambert, and I love it. I love the song. It's fun to sing. It's a good one.
Nice. Is it how long has that one kind of been in the works? Like how long ago did you write it?
I think it was about a year ago now. I was actually in Nashville when I wrote it. I wrote the entire thing on a voice memo. I was driving back from Fox and Lock in Leapers Fork. I did an
Hmm,
open mic there, and it just like the idea came to me, and I got my phone recording and just started talking to it. And by the time I got back to my place, I was had a song and I put some music to it, and
Nice.
yeah, it was great.
Now, when you are like in one of these moments where you're inspired to write a song, do is the lyrics usually what comes first, or will you ever be inspired by like a guitar lick or an instrumental or something?
So usually for me it's the lyrics. Every once in a while I'll sit down with my guitar and just start strumming, and then
Hmm.
I get a good rhythm with it. But I do a lot of my writing either when I'm driving and I'm on the road, or hiking actually. I'll be like on top of a mountain and sitting there writing a song.
Yeah. Both feel like natural places to write a song, but they
Yeah.
also feel like the most dangerous places to be writing a song.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I love voice memos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like maybe driving the car is probably a little bit more dangerous than being on top of a mountain, but you know, they both have
Yeah,
their,
depends on what mountain.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, so a- as you're kind of approaching the last like month before this release and whatnot, what's kind of running through your mind right now? Are you stressing about anything, or are you feeling pretty cool, calm, and collected, or
I mean, I feel good about the release. I've got everything set up for that. So that should hopefully go smoothly. But my whole October is like crazy, so trying to figure that out right now. But I'm excited more than anything.
just a lot of shows in October?
Yeah, and all over the place. So I actually won also about a month ago, Pensacola Beach Songwriters Festival. They ran a
Oh,
competition this year, and I won the overall for it.
oh well,
So I'll be going down. Their festival is in October, so I'll be going down to Florida for a few featured performances, award show. So I'm excited about that. And then, I mean, besides that, I'm playing in North Carolina, Michigan, New Hampshire, Maine, and New York all in October. So I'm
wow.
excited.
So you're just staying busy. Just keep
Yeah,
going.
for sure.
Nice. And then weren't you in the America's Next Top Hitmaker? I forget what the name of the competition.
No, I was not in that.
No? Okay. I
Mm-mm.
would have sworn I saw it on like your linked or on your link tree. That's what I was looking for, but
It might have been for the state fair competition.
okay.
There was a voting link on there. Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
I I was sitting there, I was like, feel like I would have seen more of this, but then yeah, anyways. So with this single, is that kind of where you see yourself right now, is doing singles, or do you ultimately, obviously you got the 3 song EP from the
Yeah.
Michigan State Fair, but do you ultimately see yourself releasing a like a full project, like a full length album, or do you kind of like the idea of doing smaller projects and singles?
Right now, it'll be singles, just budget wise, and I don't know. I don't have the budget for a full
Okay.
album right now, but
Yeah.
I would like to in the future for sure.
Fair. Now, are you recording in Michigan there, or are you going down to Nashville to record?
I go down to Nashville to record. I have a great producer down there. He's just outside of Nashville.
Okay.
He's done
Gotcha.
great
Gotcha.
work.
Fair, fair, fair. And so then just kind of looking for, obviously you mentioned that October is pretty busy, but how's September looking, or are you kind of trying to keep things chill before October?
September's busy, but it's all in Michigan, so
Okay.
it's a little less running around.
Fair, fair, fair. And then outside of music, what do you like to do? What do you like to get into?
Big into anything outdoors. I love fishing, hiking, hunting. I'm really big into trail running. I'm actually in less than 2 weeks. I'm running a 30K trail run.
Oh wow.
I'm excited for this one. Yeah. And but yeah, I love running. That's been really big for me lately.
Nice.
And I'm big, I mean, I go to the gym. I love lifting, and but besides like anything outside.
Yeah. Fair. It's one of those things. I feel like it's one of those connections to nature that kind of help balance musicians out, because I hear
Yeah.
that a lot, whether it's they like swimming, fishing, like it's always
Yeah.
something outside. It's not always the same exact thing, but just I feel like that disconnect of, okay, I don't have to deal with social media. I don't have to
Right,
pick up
right.
just like turn off all the sensories and just enjoy the
Just be
moment.
inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get into trail running? Because that's not something that's super common,
Yeah,
or like people that are super commonly talking about.
right. Yeah, I don't know when the like desire for that took over, but I was never big into running. I did
Hmm.
track for 1 year in middle school. I hated it and never did it again. I was a gymnast for 10 years, which does
Oh,
not require long distance running.
yeah.
But I don't know, I started falling in love with it. I love hiking and I still love hiking, but it kind of turned into more trail running.
Do you think it's the love for hiking, but needing to find a competitive nature to it? Because it feels like you're,
Yeah, it's possible.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I've fallen in love with it and I really don't know when that happened.
Fair. Now is this competition that's coming up in a couple weeks, is this your first one, or have you done a couple other trail running competitions before?
I've done others. This will be my longest one and definitely the most brutal. I know there's like two different river crossings and
Oh,
like almost waist deep, and I'm excited. I'm very excited.
fair. How so 30 kilometers, what's like an average time for that? Is that like multiple hours? Day?
Um, yeah, it's
Oh,
so it's 18.6 miles.
okay.
Um, I'm not really sure what the average times are on this.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair. Good. Well, because when you said 30 kilometers, I was like, that almost feels like it would be at like a 2 day event, but then maybe
No.
not. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, especially with how challenging the trail
Mm,
is. I'd say definitely under 4 hours.
okay. Gotcha. So it's like it's marathon length, but just a lot more obstacles kind of thrown your way.
Yeah, yeah, a
Okay.
little more difficult.
Yeah. Fair enough. Awesome. Um, and then just kind of as you prepare for that and then the single release, um, what shows do you have coming up? You said you had a bunch here in Michigan for September that's kind of keeping you localized. Where are you playing at this month?
Yeah, well, let's see. I am at Main Street Bar and Grill in Milford every Friday this month. It's a great place. And I've got a Real Fall Festival on Saturday coming up and a show at Heirloom Grove Farm up in Mount Pleasant this Sunday. I know I'm playing at Farmers Market in Williamston, Michigan, the following Sunday, and there's something else, I think. I have my schedule posted on my social media on
Cool.
Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you too long tonight, because it's obviously with a busy September and even crazy. Like October's busy, but I'm gonna call that one crazy busy. Like you're gonna
Yeah, yeah, for
now.
sure.
Are you driving to all these shows, or will you fly for the most part?
Yeah, I'm driving. All right. I always drive.
Nice. And are they in a? I'm guessing it'll be drive there and then back, or is it kind of linked up to where it's more like a tour?
Um, the way it kind of worked out is I'm going down to Florida and then making my way back up to Michigan and then going out up the East Coast
Okay.
afterwards. So,
Gotcha. 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 Definitely, I will say be careful in Florida because it is hurricane season right now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
who knows what's going on. So
right, right.
it, but anyways, if for anybody that wants to check out your music or your social media or any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
It's all the handles are Jessey Adams Music, spelled Jessey. And that's for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Nice. Which platform have you found the most enjoyment producing content for?
I don't like social media, so
Oh, fair.
I can't say on that. I found the most success on TikTok, but I don't know. I just try to keep up with posting enough and then get off social media after that.
Fair. So is it fair to say that once you hit a level where you can afford to buy a social media person,
Oh
you're going to
yeah.
do it?
Yes.
That's
That's my number one goal right now.
fair. It's honestly, I feel like that should be everyone's number one goal because
Yeah.
yeah, as much as I like producing content for social media, it's just one of those things where it's like I've got 800 other things to worry about. So,
Right.
you know, but other than that, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we wrap this up, though, what's one piece of advice you have for the young musicians out there?
Oh man. If you love it, just go for it. Like you're gonna feel it in your heart.
Fair. Very fair. I agree. I 100% agree. But I like to end on a little piece of information for the young ones out
Yeah.
there. So,
Yeah.
uh, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.